Well, we are here.
We are
No.
here. Oh,
I'm gonna give it Oh,
when I
good.
did the edits, when I did the edit for the podcast version, or like the Spotify podcast version of the show for last week's episode, there's a part where Cody has a really good snippet right before you do the introduction, or right
Uh-huh.
before Jerry does the introduction. It's solid. It's a great way to start the
That's it.
show. He
I
talks
think we
about
got
like beating kids in front of their parents, and just because it's really good.
we got to do more snippets like that.
Yeah.
But what is up, everyone? We have kind of a slower, maybe even paced Jammers in the
Even
Referee
paced.
tonight. Cody broke a faucet, or his faucet's leaky, one of the two. So he had to go to the doctor and get some pills to take care of that leaky faucet, and unfortunately he's unable to make it here today. So, moment of silence for Cody and his leaky faucet. But we got Josh, the Carnival Man, Winter here,
I'm
as
embracing it now.
always. I know, you just owned it, Carney. Myself, Paige, is here as usual, and we're just planning on doing a kind of a quick kind of conversation, especially with Champions Cup here. We have our first major of the year, and I know it's day one, but the whole field's kind of shaking. Josh, do you want to lay the groundwork for us?
Yeah. So, just pre-warning if anybody's waiting for Jomez to watch it tomorrow, this is not the show to watch tonight. And you can always listen to us on Spotify and all your favorite podcast platforms.
Yeah, so this is your not a spoiler warning.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Champions Cup started day one. FPO, that was a fun round to watch. What was really cool about FPO was watching Kristen Tatar dominate, but not be the only one that's dominating. Like, she did a really good round, and she's got Kat Merch on her heels, Katrina Allen, and a few others who are a few strokes behind. But I thought, like when I was watching Kristen play, I thought she was going to run away with it. Um, but no, it's going to be a really good second round for sure. It's been a good card because I think Haley King's on there, Katrina, Kat, and Tatar.
Yep, with
That's a good
Scoggins
lead
not too
card.
far behind.
Yeah, she's really close.
And I think it's
Um,
like day 1, 2, I feel like the big thing is just being within a couple of strokes. Like, obviously you want to be the outright lead, but you don't want to be so far back that the rest of the 3 days, because right, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, yeah, the rest of the 3 days are going to just be like having to play lights out. So being, I think, within like even like 4 strokes of the lead, I think it's all manageable, especially when it comes to FPO. I feel like MPO may be a little bit harder, but FPO being within 4 strokes seemed to be that. And I guess I shouldn't say that. MPO, how many chase cards have won this year already? So being within like 3 to 4 strokes of the lead and MPO is still catchable.
yeah, but this is also the first major of the year. They got to survive 4 rounds. We've seen a lot of people come out round one and just have a super hot round, but those elite players who just keep that momentum come crawl their way back up, and then take the W. So there's a lot of disc golf left to play, but it is an interesting first round for sure.
Yeah.
Especially with the FPO. I like how close, there's a nice little chunk close together. Um, One person who we don't see at the top who had a super hard day was Paige Pierce. I know she's she's battling an injury. She's having a kind of a rough start. But that was a rough one to watch today. It was, but she pushed through it. She pushed through. She continued to drive towards that tee as best as she could and finished the round. I think, what did she finish at? +3. Paige Pierce +4. She ended with +4. Mm-hmm. So she's got a lot of, but she's a champion. So she could get her way all the way back to the top if she buckled down and went for it. I'm not
I don't
sure
know
how much
though.
that energy is gonna, or the injury is gonna play a factor though.
Even like injury aside, I mean, looking back statistically, like how often did Paige Pierce like truly battle back? Even in her prime, I feel like she was never really truly a battle back kind of pro. Like, I think Paul McBeth, right? They're always compared. I think they'll forever be compared. But Paul McBeth, I think, just made the name from being like, oh, I'm going to rally, put this ridiculously hot round together, and bridge this gap and be in contention. But Paige Pierce, I feel like for me, there are wins where either I'm blowing everybody out so much that they can't catch me, or I'm imploding and pulling away. Like, I don't think Paige Pierce has ever been one of those people to battle back.
We've seen it in previous years. I mean, it's been a while since she's had a really good stride, but we know she's capable of doing it. Right?
Oh, I know
And
she's capable of having a good stride, but I just don't think she's capable of battling back from a deficit. I think that's a different mind game. That's a different level of cutthroat that, I mean, I don't think Paige Pierce has. Not when Tatar is, what, 11 strokes ahead?
Plus 13 strokes ahead?
13, sorry.
Yeah, 13.
Yeah, 13 strokes ahead. I don't think Paige Pierce is that kind of cutthroat of, okay, I'm 13 strokes back. Let me bridge this as best I can.
But also, those people up top can have a really crappy round and make that gap. If she does well, they do poorly. But that's a lot to say because we've all seen Tatar be playing this year. We've seen Owen playing. We know how consistent they've been all season long. You know, staying in that top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's gonna be a hard battle. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? Probably not.
Yeah,
I would love to see it happen, though.
I'm more looking at like a Katrina, Owen, even like, down a couple spots with like Madison Walker, people who've been there before, know how to battle in that mix and continue to, because Owen I can see going 3 down, 4 down, 5 down, that kind of thing to kind of slowly creep up. Like I feel like Cat Merch, for example, 7 down today. I can also see them going over 7 over tomorrow. That's where that fluidity. Do I hope they do well? Absolutely. Seeing Cat up there battling back from last year. It's kind of the first lead card of the year. Haley King as well. There's a name that we haven't seen on the lead card for a while. So do I hope they become successful? Absolutely. But this is where it's a major, and I'm kind of curious to see if a Katrina Allen can battle into that mix. Even Owen.
Katrina's sitting where's she at? She's
5
fourth
down?
place.
Fourth place? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. With she's 4 back from the lead. So that's right now being round 1, any of the top 10 could take it if they had continued to have strong rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom, like 8th, 9th, anybody who's like -3 and a little bit worse than that are going to have a little bit of hard time if everyone else continues to have a good rhythm. But it's all possible. It's cool seeing Haley up, like you're saying, seeing Haley and Kat up there. Kat especially, she did a post-round interview that was really good. We're like, is there anything you're going to change? Was one of the questions about your gameplay, and she's like, no, I'm just going to continue what I'm doing and doing it well. Which that's awesome to see that confidence in somebody who's like, no, I'm not going to change how I'm playing. I think I'm doing great. And in the pre-round interview, like with Paige, she's like, I don't know if I should even play. I was told I shouldn't play with this injury, but I'm here. I don't even know. So she's already going into it with like this self-doubt of if she should be there.
It's funny that you mentioned that too, because I was watching the practice round on Josmez this week, and you have that injury light that we casted on last week with Jerry, where we're talking about like, DNFing, preserving yourself, keep staying healthy, this whole battle. But my ears picked up with Big Germ, with his back. He, threw something. He's like, oh, I'm hurt. And it's hard because I want to give benefit of the doubt, but also it says like, oh yeah, are we setting up a bad round, with an excuse beforehand? Because hey, look, remember the practice round? I was saying I'm hurt because it's been an ongoing thing. Vegas was the same thing, and he ended up injury DNF. Paul Ulibarri was talking about his shoulder for a while, and we hope that they're healed up, and we hope that it's not legit. But even Paige Pierce queuing up some of the injury talking. I'm not saying the injuries aren't real, but that mental side of things where you're already like, should I or shouldn't I? It's one of those when you have a death putt, right? You're like, should I run this? Should I not? And then you airball it. And you're like, I knew I should. The moment I thought that, I should have just laid up. The moment I thought that I wasn't fully committed, that doubt set in, that doubt creeped in, and I should have laid up. And I feel like you're just setting yourself up for that bad time of being like, I know I shouldn't be here. I know this hurts. So, why are you pushing yourself through that? What are you trying to were you just hoping to, that, when you death putt, right? I'm going to use that analogy still. When you death putt, were you just hoping to run it and it just magically goes in with no confidence? That happens every once in a while, but also like was Paige Pierce coming in here hoping to just like shoot blistering hot while injured and put themselves in the mix and then decide. So it's always a tough battle because, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot at play with these things, especially when it comes to majors.
Yeah, no, definitely. Another thing that I saw today, which was interesting, and maybe you, because you played a lot of tournaments, so you might actually have some insight on this one. There was a hole where Kristen threw and her disc was like it went down into the ditch where the water is. I believe water is out of bounds on this hole, but she had part of her disc on like the mud, but not in the water, so it was an inbounds for her. So she put a marker into the water. She spent a good amount of time doing this too, trying to get the marker to stick into the mud under the water, so she can then pick it up, put her foot into the water, and then do the putt. So she wasn't putting on like this little ledge that she would have if she would have stepped behind her disc. I was always under the impression that you can't, if it's something's out of bounds, you can't play from out of bounds. Because technically her foot's out of bounds in that situation.
Oh, I guess it's well, I didn't see that. But two, like you're absolutely right. If that's the rule, if that water was out of bounds, you can't take a playing stance behind or out of bounds. You have to have a foot in bounds. You have to be behind your lie. That whole aspect of things.
Is it just one foot out of bounds? Oh, wait,
both. Like so, like hold if on. I have. Oh,
hold on. We got something here. I was under the impression it was out of bounds. They said it was casual. I think. Okay, so if that's the case, still, she was dedicated to it. We'll switch routes with it. She was dedicated enough to it. She didn't have waterproof shoes on, and she put that marker into the water and just put her foot into that water so she can have a wet foot for the rest of the round, just to have a better footing or the attempt for the putt. So even if it wasn't out of bounds, it was a fun thing to watch.
Yeah, no, see, like, and that's like knowing the rules, right? Like if it was casual, you can definitely play. Oops.
But that makes sense that it was casual then, because then why she did that? Just because like when I saw it, I saw like part of the disc when I like tuned into that section because I'm like working and watching. I see that part of the disc was on land, so I'm assuming that's why she was in bounds. But as the Facebook user pointed out, I think it was casual. So that makes sense.
Yeah. But if it's out of bounds, you can't even have 1 foot out, 1 foot in. You can't even do that. Unless, of course, you pick up your back foot before release, and it's always time. And I think more importantly, I feel like the conversation's been happening off the tee box more recently. That you have to have you're supporting on the tee box and be at release. You can't have like 1 foot on, 1 foot off, and throwing. Like because there's been people that have been straddling off the tee box trying to get angles. Unless you pick up your foot and then throw, but that becomes.
That's going to throw you off. I can see where a couple holes that I play here locally that would actually work in your favor to have that 1 foot off and just lift it up a little bit to do that little sidearm. But anyways, also if you watch Jomez tomorrow and they show Haley King, there are a few times I'm like, why is Nico out there playing? Because Haley's got her hair up in a way that from the back you can mistake her for Nico.
Was it the Nico like when he had his fro and you'd pull it back and it's all
little, but it's like the puff up top? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, see, I thought the puff up top looked more like Heimberg when his hair is like from that short but kind of growing period and it gets that extra curly.
I guess kind of back. No matter what, when you see it either tonight or tomorrow, when you check it out, just remember I said that when you see her hair.
Oh, I've seen her because she came out and she was talking about I think maybe her signature disc or something, and I saw her and it made me chuckle.
Yeah.
You got wild hair. Wild hair is just time to either flaunt it or control it, and sometimes there's no taming it. Speaking to
all right, so moving on to MPO. So MPO they got a little bit closer. Let's see, we have there's 1, 2.
MPO.
3,
we also
4,
have some
5,
new names
6,
of the
7,
MPO list, right?
8, 9, 10, 11.
Seeing Silas Schultz up there is awesome.
Who joined us?
Colin, Mr. CH Sports himself.
Colin, surprise guest.
Surprise guest.
What's going on, everybody?
How's it going, man?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
He froze already.
Doing good, doing good. Where should we go?
Doing
I'm freezing?
No, you're doing all right.
Okay.
Yeah, we were just talking about FPO today, playing first round. Now we're jumping into MPO. Did you watch any of the coverage today?
I did, yeah. I watched both rounds. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
You're a little loud. Do you think you can turn your mic down just a little bit?
Yeah, I got you.
All right.
How's that?
That sounds a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So what's your take on FPO real quick?
Yeah. FPO.
Like the whole division together or just a specific instance?
Just the whole FPO.
The whole division.
Today.
What was your initial impact of it? Seeing some of the names on top, how things have been unfolding?
Like you guys have already mentioned, I think it's cool to see Kat Merch get back into the mix. It's been a while since we've seen her name in the mix. Yeah, I think that was probably the biggest story in my mind, other than obviously Kristen doing Kristen stuff, and then Paige struggling again. But yeah, I think the leaderboard sets up right now for I don't know. It's gonna be a battle. I feel like I can already kind of feel it. Like I feel like Katrina is gonna get herself into the mix, and then you're gonna see like Haley King is gonna find something in her. Haley King in the majors always plays really well. Missy Gannon is, you give all those players 4 or 5 rounds to figure it out. Even Paige could slowly work her way back into it. So
yep.
I'm already disagreeing with Paige. I disagree.
I don't know. Hey, if the gap, if we go into Saturday and the gap's only 5 between her and Kristen, it's a battle. Like,
That's true.
But I kind of win-win situation, right? I can bet against her and then win, but also she's on my fantasy pick team, so if she does good, then clearly I win that way. So it's
win-win.
I'm just in a win-win situation. But yeah, moving to MPO, I think, like I said, this is another one that I think I like. Champions Cup. I think last year the big name was Casey White breaking out and being lead card. This year having Silas Schultz break out and Antilla. Right, I think everyone's been watching Antilla all last year, waiting for him to break out like this, and both those names this year deciding to first major of the year take a big step forward and break out, which that's exciting because it's just I don't know. Disc golf, I feel like, is at this all exciting period where every weekend it's anybody's game, anybody can step up, and yes, we've seen a lot of familiar names winning it with Gannon Burr, Heimberg, and Simon, but that's not the story, right? It's not like the days of like, oh, Paul McBeth and Ricky showed up, so it's Paul McBeth or Ricky. Oh, the Castro snuck one in. It's not these battles anymore. It's, oh, cool. Yes, Heimberg won, but it came down to every single hole mattering. Yeah. Him making this, like, what was it, Simon, where he made people are just like, oh, he made a 70-footer on hole 3. Nobody thinks about it, and then he wins by 1 stroke, and all of a sudden it mattered. All these little things, and I think it's almost like I almost can't watch Jomez anymore because I need to start to watch these things live because of the way it's all breaking down. Like you have to watch it live because it's like, here's lead card, but hey, look, Cole Radallen over here is shooting 12 down out of 14 holes and he's making a push. Who is this kid? Like, and then all of a sudden, like the cameras rush over to Cole and they're following him on the final stretch, and it's just like, oh my god, this is awesome to witness.
That's like a very huge advantage to watching it live, because with like Jomez or Gatekeeper or anyone in sports, what happens is you get one card usually, and with live you're getting so many different cards, and like you're saying, something's happening across many holes in front of the lead card. They have camera people just on it to go watch it, so they're doing really well with their live coverage right now, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, and I'm having a hard time with watching Jomez and be like, oh, we're gonna try to report this as the players would know. We're on hole 10, and just so you know, Gannon Burr's making a big push. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, I like to witness those things because it's not the same post-production trying to build up some of that hype where it's just like, oh, Jomez, I think for the first time, like lead card isn't where it's at, and now this chase card coverage. Who is it? What is it? Gatekeeper or is it? Yeah.
I think
Gatekeeper.
yeah.
So
they have
Gatekeeper.
it.
So now it's like, okay, cool. How much more are like paying attention to Gatekeeper now, having the chase card and actually helping the numbers out? And I'm seeing it, like how it impacts too, even like Jomez. So, I mean, it's definitely a cool time to be a fan.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure. Yeah, it's cool. Literally, like every tournament so far, I feel like every Sunday morning we've said like there's legitimately like 12 people that could win today. Like, and that hasn't been the story for a long time. So it's cool to see that for sure.
Yeah, what was it, like 3 or 4 weeks in a row? We're like, hey, we just broke the record of most people within like a stroke or two or whatever it was, and it's like, oh yeah, all these people are in contention. Top 10 no longer is like a 4 or 5 stroke difference. Top 10 is like a 1 to 2 stroke difference consistently, and that's a tough spot to be in, because now it's just like it's getting tighter and tighter to be in contention, and every mistake, and I don't know, I'm here for it. So I don't want to get too sidetracked about that, but one name we forgot to mention, or 2 names, I guess, with the lead card, Isaac Robertson. He's another
local
one.
boy. The local boy.
And then James Conrad.
Yeah, making a little comeback. I love seeing that he got a hot round today. I mean, not the hottest, but right, one off. 10 going 10 down for James. We haven't seen that in a while. We have not seen James come out swinging. So hopefully
last tournament he's won was Worlds, right? So he's just gonna be a major shark, all like Barsby-ish.
Yeah.
That might have even been his last top 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh dang.
See, let me take a look. I can find out. Dun-dun-dun.
At least in Pro Tours and Elite Series, I think that's what they were mentioning.
Let's see. Waco, he got 6.
Yeah, that's not top 5 though.
Oh, yeah. I said top 5, yeah. But still, so close. Let's see, 2022.
He's sprinkled in some good performances, but yeah, no top 5s, I think, since the win at Worlds.
Yeah, I mean,
Texas
before Worlds
State,
too, before MVP, I know he was consistently top 10ing, and there was a little bit of that dip off, so it's nice to see him back in there. And if he can start to rally and kind of fine tune, especially in the woods, I feel like Conrad in the woods is definitely how he made his name. That's definitely one of the reasons why he won his world championship. And we can talk about that
on this course. The narrative, it seems to be, is like everybody's saying it's super backhand friendly. Like, you almost don't throw any forehands out here, so I feel like that's a huge advantage,
No,
so
definitely.
Being so comfortable with every angle on the backhand, especially with the slow discs, it really, the ability to throw a slow disc far seems to be the difference on this course right now. That's why you're seeing Isaac Robinson come to the forefront, because he's throwing putters 400 feet into these greens, and he's getting super soft finishes into the really fast greens, and tricky gaps to hit, but he's throwing a putter, so he's throwing a really straight shot, a really predictable shot, and and that's why we're seeing a lot of other people struggle, because they're trying too hard to shake stuff into the greens, versus Conrad and Isaac Robinson are throwing like nice little hyzer flip putter shot into the green, even though they're still 350, 375 away. And then even if they do come up short, they're both such good circle 2 putters that they're making a lot of those too. So.
No, definitely. You are sounding a little robotic though, just so I'm not sure if it's your headphones or what, but I got most of that.
At my mic. Does that sound better?
No.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
All right.
Okay.
Surprise guess is technical difficulties, but what he's saying is absolutely correct. I feel like James Conrad making his name for that backhand putter shot. Literally, the holy shot is that backhand putter shot, and through the woods having something slow, especially like if you do hit a tree, you're not going to be wildly punished for hitting those trees. And
so like in 2021, he won the Worlds, and then later that year he got 3rd at that match play championship, that one that Discmania does. And then since then he just hasn't podiumed. There's no podium last year. So hopefully this is his move back. Oh,
and I think this is like
one
of those. No, Jerry, we're not saying hi. You were last week. We have a new guest this week. This is Colin. Can you talk, Colin, real quick? We can't hear you. Our surprise guest, I swear. He just wanted to pop in last minute, unprepared. But I think having this major through these woods, through these, not only tight woods, but long woods, I think brings up the conversation too, right? There's all of this conversation about getting away from golf courses and finding different ways. And WR Jackson last year was that. They were like, let's get into the woods, but let's carve out these woods so galleries and camera crews can work. And I think this is becoming one of the more important majors, not necessarily for like who's going to win it and the prestige that maybe comes with the win, but more or less seeing how players respond, fans respond, galleries respond, because I feel like WR Jackson is going to set a precedent moving forward. And if it continues to be like how many people are just loving the course, loving the shots on coverage and everything, like, because I'm one of those people that like, what is it? Roy G. Guerrero in Austin, Texas needs to be on the pro tour because it's very similar to WR Jackson, long par fours through the woods, difficult off the fairways, but finding courses like that, I think, are going to be really important as we transition forward. But I just wanted to kind of see what your thoughts were on that.
Let's see here. I'm not really sure. I was looking.
Look at that. Colin wanted to match me. Oh, I embarrassed him. Scared little sheep, go hide. Scared little bunny.
I mean, we're seeing a lot of names be popping up a lot more than they used to. I mean, I know I talked to you earlier about this, about like Paul McBeth. Like today he finished 43rd, but it's not because he had this horrible round. It's, he only had 2 bogeys. He just couldn't get those birdies when he needed them. He wasn't able. He got a lot of pars, and he's gonna fine tune that. Come back tomorrow, and I guarantee you he's gonna have a really good round. I don't know. It's nice to see the waves changing though. Like, when's the last time you've seen Isaac Robinson and James Conrad? Like, there's nobody on the lead card tomorrow. I mean, Nicholas.
No, there's nobody on the lead card that we've heard from in months.
Yeah, like I wouldn't.
As far as coverage wise, right? We've obviously heard of them. We're watching them.
Yeah.
But as far as coverage card, lead card, I'm almost disappointed to not see a Proctor up further on these charts, because I was excited for like a Proctor to try to break through, but I'm not even sure if he got signed up either.
No, he's on here.
Is he?
Yeah, because I have him in my fantasy league, so he's definitely on here.
Yeah, it's 3 down.
Yeah,
because I think Proctor's been having an amazing start to the season where he finds himself in the mix of almost every single tournament so far, and 3 down is not out of it, but that's 48th at this point.
Yeah, it's nice seeing Eagle making his face close to top 10 again.
I think Eagle's my surprise pick. Not surprise pick, because with him there, I just think Eagle likes to be 3 strokes behind, battling back from chase card. At least how I like to envision him. Like, obviously there's the European Open, but I think about Goat Hill this year where he had a narrow lead. People are kind of being like, oh yeah, people are like already counting him out. Like, and I think it was actually like 3 strokes back this one, or Goat Hill, right? And so watching him battle back, and I think that's where I like Eagle, of being like, don't mess it up, rather than like, okay, put that mode on, activate, and just bridge that gap as fast as you can.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because Eagle was 10 down up until the last 2 holes, and then he got bogeys. So like it's cool to see him. Like, the thing with the Eagle though, it's kind of changed. Like even comparing it to like last year before, where when Eagle was up there high, you'd be like, oh, that's normal. That's normal to see Eagle doing really well. And now I feel like it has a little wave to it, where it's not like it's not obvious that he's going to do very well in a tournament.
I don't think it's obvious. I think this is proven that it's not obvious that anybody is going to do well. Like, where's Gannon Burr? Where's Heimberg? Paul McBeth? Even Ricky Wysocki. I know he DNF'd because of his Lyme disease, but even that wasn't something that was on people's radar of like, oh yeah, Ricky's gonna drop out. Like, it's it's unpredictable at this point. Like Chandler Fry is 18th. Freaking where is it? Dylan Horst is 6 down. He had a good showing Monday in the qualifier, so he got in from that, and then he's making a push. Sorry, we lost Colin, but he's making a push. Right now, it's top 20. And I'm like looking at those whole names of like who can hold on. Mason Ford is top 5. Cole Redolin, Aiden Scott. Like, man, it's if you were to say these names that I'm listing as a prediction, either you're just have your finger on the pulse or you just got extremely lucky by throwing out random names and be like, oh yeah, they're going to be good. But it's like, I don't think anybody was predicting these people were going to be top 20 and some of these other people are going to be falling out to the bottom, bottom 20, bottom 40.
Yeah.
And granted, like I said, it's day one. It's day one.
Day one. There's a lot that can happen. And everyone who we would expect to be doing well, it's not that they did horrible. They just didn't execute when they needed to execute today. And the winds can change at any point and make them jump back up. So Colin joined again. Where are you at, Colin?
Is it working?
There it is.
Hey, let's go.
And you sound good. You're not a robot.
Yep.
Nice. Okay, glad to hear it.
Also sounds like you have some things to say about some things we've been saying.
Yeah. I don't remember what you guys were talking about though. So
MPO. I brought up the conversation about WR Jackson being an important mainstay as a course, and as we start to move forward, having courses similar to WR Jackson as we move forward. Because, I mean, we're seeing all these names pop up because woods, I feel like, are the great equalizer. It's can you hit a gap? Can you shape a shot? Can you hit a putt? Can you scramble? More than can you throw 600 feet?
Well, I think it shows people's like off weeks a lot more than the Open does. Like at an Open course, you can kind of have a sort of off week, get yourself into Circle 2 a bunch, and if you make a bunch of putts, then you can still be in contention. Versus in the woods, it's like if you're off your line just by 5-10 feet on every throw, that is so much worse than being off your line by 50 feet or 0, And so I think it just shows those like just slight misses a lot more than an Open course would, which is why you see something like Paul didn't even have like that bad of a round. Like if you watched the round, he just missed a lot of putts that he normally makes. And so he didn't play all that bad, but he's already in, he's way down the leaderboard, like you guys were saying. So it just shows like, even if it's just slightly off, somebody is going to come out and have a good weekend. And so if you're not matching that pace, then you're in trouble.
Yep. I think, like I said, like the woods are all the more telling. And, Eagle, for example, going from lead card to chase card because, a couple of bogeys here and there and lost 2 strokes on the final couple of holes. Like, that's a tough.
So fast.
Yeah, so fast. Because I feel like you're right. Like, a lot of times on golf courses, there's like, okay, I might not birdie here, but I'm going to par. I have 3 strokes to get to par. Whereas in the woods, you're like, oh, I'm going to have to pitch out here or throw this, Hail Mary through the woods just to try to get up and down and make it easy par. There's like sometimes where I'm in the woods clip and it's like, okay, bogey is the best I can do from here. Let me figure out how to do that because double, triple stack up so quickly.
Especially in the woods. Yeah, for sure.
But I do think this is, and this is what I said earlier, like I do think this is a course that's going to change a lot of how we look at the game. I mean, last year it was supposed to be a one and done course. We decided to come back. The Carvin Gallery paths. I think this WR Jackson is all the more reason why Rory G. Guerrero needs to be on the Pro Tour.
Yeah, I agree.
And so
I think we need wooded courses that aren't so heavily wooded that they become gimmicky, which is what is so great about WR Jackson is every gap on that course. You don't see one gap that's unfair. On that course versus every other wooded course that they play on tour, there's like 2 or 3 holes that everybody is like, okay, This one we just saw it in Nashville. That one only
Mhm.
that course only had like 3 wooded holes on it, and one
But
of
they're
them
like-
was so dumb and gimmicky.
You got to throw a flex and hope to dodge this and then
Yeah.
flare up. But if you pure the gap, you're going to be long. So don't pure the gap.
Exactly. That was the worst part. There was so
Yeah.
many shots that were like pured right in the middle of the gap and then go 1 foot out of bounds long, and they're 29 feet long. It's not even like they threw a bad shot. It's crazy. But
Yeah, no, and I'm right there with you. Like long tunnel wooded shots are great. Like some of those Waco shots are perfect examples of that too. That's why, like for me, like I always have a hard time being like Waco. We're outgrowing just because of some of those wooded shots and willing to kind of take some shapes. And I'm always a proponent of like trying to actually like continue to redesign the courses. Like I think what is it, like Texas State's was a good one where almost every year it was the same course but different layout and different modified because they're kind of continuously trying to challenge that field and make adjustments to it. But granted, I also know not every course is like that, but I'm trying to figure out what those look like and how we can get them to be a part of the tours. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But
Are they playing all 3 rounds at this course?
Yep.
Ooh,
or it's
gonna
all
be
4. There's 4 rounds.
or I'm sorry, yeah, all 4.
Yep.
Well, that's gonna be a fun one to watch because at any point someone can just go downhill. This is a good challenge. I mean, what I think somebody just put up here. This is the course that changes everything in the game because it's those who have the arms versus those who have technical skills, which is true. Like,
And that's the thing, you can get away with both on this course. Like you can be the power guy that, you know, takes advantage of the long holes, you know, and gets those eagle opportunities because you can reach some of the par 4s and you can get eagle opportunities on the par 5s. It's just how many of the short techie par 3s can you survive versus you got the other guys, you know, you got your Bradley Williams of the world or the Mason Fords of the world or Isaac Robinson of the world, where they're throwing those pure little hyzer flips, staying in the middle of the gap, and they're feasting on those techie par 3s and hoping to survive the long, tricky par 4s and 5s.
which is like, to be honest, like one of my low-key picks coming into this was Heimberg because he is that perfect blend of both of those. Super techie player with elite distance who can turn it on and off as at will, as he's proven time and time again. To see him 5 strokes back is a real surprise to me. Granted, Heimberg is one of the he's top 3 in everything this year, so 5 strokes back isn't impossible for him, especially the way he knows how to push. But for me, day one, to see him 5 strokes back was a surprise when you have, like, you know, an Eagle McMahon in the mix now back up there, like a Chris Dickerson, who is another like wooded all-star. This all in those mix, Conrad. But yeah, so 5 strokes back, not out, but was a surprise.
Yeah, it's so hard to tell on this course. It's some people shoot 5 down and their 5 down looked remarkable, and then some people shoot, you know, 8 down and it didn't look that, like Eagle shot 8 down, but he had a really rough finish. You know, it didn't look all that impressive down the stretch. Versus Calvin, I don't really remember him. Like, he had one pretty errant drive, but other than that, I don't remember him just, you know, absolutely shanking one. And
there's a couple that he had like an early release and it still worked out.
Right.
But
yeah.
he was having a hard time with his release points today, it seemed like.
Which could also like, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, yeah, he threw a couple. I guess I should have reiterated that. He threw a couple of bad shots that resulted in good results.
Yeah.
So it didn't ultimately affect his score too much, I guess.
Which, though, I mean, calls into question, right? This whole battle of, do you just keep throwing old discs over and over again, or do you cycle new discs in? Because somebody has a brand new Green Eagle that he's been bagging all year, and I know he's leaning on that a little bit more through these woods than old trusty Orangey. So it kind of calls into question of being like, is it just him relearning some new disc and release points and flight paths, or is it just jitters through the woods? Who truly knows? But it's definitely interesting, like to me anyways, because you don't see that often, like a player like Heimberg, who's literally known for the Rhino, the Eagle, and his destroyers kind of just been it.
Yeah. And like similar to other players who are kind of down the leaderboard a little bit, it's not like he had a horrible round. He had 1 bogey. The rest, you know, birdies and pars, and he's sitting at 6 down. So he's still in the mix, and like Pogbeth, Calvin, both, they're decent rounds. They just weren't their best yet, but they have time to figure that out and finish strong.
And that's the thing is all 4 of the guys that are on lead card aren't like your perennial winner type, and so it very easily could be, we have 10 guys in the mix tomorrow. It very could easily change for sure.
So last week, we talked a little bit about, some of these pros that DNF'd, or 2 weeks ago now, sorry. We talked about it last week, but anyways, but that DNF'd because, injury prevention. One of the more famous ones was Ben Callaway. Have you happened to see where Ben's at this week?
Let's take a
He
look.
is 7 down, sitting in 12th.
And last week had a strong showing at Blue Ridge too.
Last week had a strong showing at Blue Ridge. So not that we can say is entirely like up because he DNF'd to save his, save an injury, save the mental game. But we also can't not say that because clearly, look, it's starting to pan out and work for them. Because 2 weeks ago, I don't think I would say Callaway would be even top 15 at this major. I think his best that we probably could look for it is, top 20, top 30 at that point where he's kind of been all year. But watching him at 12th in contention, he's 7 down. What are your thoughts on that, Josh?
Whoa. I mean, I feel like, dude, I don't know. Like, I know your stance on like him DNFing to save his body because he knows what's the point in pushing myself further when I'm not going to do well, when I can save my body and be ready for this big first major of the year. And it's it's showing on first round. It's showing that it's probably paying off for him. But I still stand by my stance that he should have finished out the tournament and not DNF because he wasn't doing well. And we they're sponsored for us to come watch them. Their sponsors make money off of us buying their discs and being inspired by them. And is quitting a tournament because you're not doing well inspiring? No.
Yeah. So you're pro David Stern, NBA. Play the players, don't let the players rest.
Yes. No.
All right, you're for the man.
Wait, he's not rest. He was not. Well, you know what? We don't know his life story, but
I mean, I'm pretty sure
what he said, he's not resting because he's hurt. He's resting because he wasn't doing well, and he didn't like that it was raining, and so he went home. Well, to the next place.
Yeah, and this is obviously one of 3 people. Emerson's 5 down. Paul Ulibarri's 2 down. They all DNF'd. Antilla is lead card, who also DNF'd, and nobody talks about.
Yep.
It's hard to, like you said, it's hard to like just use this one example of like, always do this because, like I said, once you get into that pattern, it's easy to start to replicate that pattern and do it more and more. But I think this for me, there's always, as long as the reasons are correct and right, being able to kind of preserve some of those with the right intent, I think it's great. But some of the wrong intent, I feel like, is then when you start to battle like that, iffy gray line.
No, it's not gray line. He shouldn't be DNF'd.
But he followed the rules. If you want to go not gray line and go black and white, he DNF'd well within the respective rules, which is why he got a 999 and not an 888. So if we're going to go black and white, clearly he's in the right because the rules justify him for doing that.
Yeah.
Not wrong. We want.
I can rule lawyer.
No.
Like I said, I was bronze level pro in Magic the Gathering. I needed to learn how to rule lawyer. We can rule lawyer. We can get nitpicky with it if you really want to.
But see, you can be not wrong, but also wrong at the same exact time. Like legally, by the rules, yeah, he was in the right. But as a player at his caliber, his reasoning, the people's court say he's in the wrong and is guilty.
I mean, okay, show me these scales. Show me the people's court. We have 3 people on here.
Here it goes. Oh no. It's getting off balance. Did you unplug yourself? Oh, that means yes.
Headphones came unplugged, so I could even hear your little.
I enjoyed the silence. Don't worry. I got my reward.
Unhinged.
He's unhinged.
But also, my headphones popped up. My mic's still involved. I don't know why I'm like, like just whispering, mouthing it. But
He is beside himself.
So me, I'm gonna, like I said, it's something to keep an eye on, especially as the season starts to progress. Is it going to happen more? Is it not going to happen more? Is it going to be the traditional, this kind of core people of Paul Ulibarri, Emerson, Callaway? Is it going to be them and kind of their supportive like groups? Because if Adam Hammes does it, that's a Callaway buddy that kind of connects. If Big Germ does it, then you can compare it to Ulibarri, etc. So for me, it's just something to kind of keep an important look at as we start to progress in the season, because I think this is the first year we're really talking about it and really noticing some of it. And I think NBA does it a lot. And I'm always like pro player. Unlike you, Josh, I'm pro player when it comes to like resting people and preserving injuries and longevity.
I am not. Oh, I am pro player. To center myself. I don't want to get angry. Not really angry.
I mean, clearly you're not pro player. We got your stance already.
No. I am pro player when it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. If he's just going to bow out,
but see, that's
a
like
little bit of rain.
It makes sense. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to Colin.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense to you. So it sounds like it's an understanding issue.
No,
makes sense.
Hear me out. If Facebook user is a generic user, they're all the same. So if I grab a Facebook user, that means everyone, and they say guilty. That means the people have spoken.
I guess, yeah. You can't argue with the people.
You can't argue with Facebook user. Yeah. That is all encompassing. And I know, I'm sorry, Josh, we're ganging up on you tonight. Clearly, I have some unresolved issues from when Jerry hosted, and I'm utilizing this time to lash out, and I shouldn't do that. But
I will never break my stance.
Oh, it's fine. I don't need you to break your stance. I just need your logic to be broken down to where nobody's gonna give your stance any value.
If you are a sponsored player of that caliber, and you are injured or you feel like you're going to be injured, that's a completely reasonable time to DNF and say, I'm not going to finish this round. If you are an elite player who is sponsored to come out and inspire the younglings around the world, and you're like, you know what, I'm not doing very well and I'm wet, so I'm just going to leave. I'm just going to call it. What does that promote? What does it promote to people? That they can.
Well, you also use the words elite player, and outside of Antilla, who's kind of teetering on that, I don't think the three people that did it are elite players.
Okay. Professional player. I'll switch to. I'll even switch to professional player since we're getting into the specifics of my wording. A pro player. You know what? I like this idea. Doctor's note like a real job. I think you're
gonna like leave DNF, run to the doctor.
I like that.
I don't know how long till you see we have a doctor on tour that's just like signed off on these notes.
Right.
True.
But also, I guess we got a prediction for who's going to win this week.
A prediction?
Yeah, who's going to win? MPO, FPO.
I think. Well, here. You know what? We'll let Colin go first.
I'm going Antilla on the MPO side for sure.
Okay.
Euro.
And on the FPO side, I mean, of course, your brain says Kristen Tatar. I really want to see Haley do well. That would be my heart's pick, but my brain says Kristen Tatar.
I like that though. I think having a heart pick, like for me, like FPO, like I think Own Scoggins, I would love to see win.
A good pick too.
I'd love to see her battle it back. Arhenna. Smart pick, obviously Tatar with it. FPO. She has a 2-stroke lead.
Yep.
Going in, to 3 more days.
The statistics say that she almost. I don't even think it's possible for her to lose in that situation.
Yeah, it's already like 90%.
With that situation, I don't know.
And so my heart is gonna be picking for FPO. I think MPO. I think Eagle is my pick this one. It'd be good to see him win a major in a big way. Especially like I said, he's where I want him to be, which is 3 strokes back with a little bit of chip on his shoulder, a little bit of hunger, kind of being eclipsed by Simon. Kind of again, try to break out of that shadow and kind of stand on his own 2 talons. So that's my pick. What about you, Josh?
With MPO, I'm gonna agree with you on that one. I think Eagle's gonna take this one. I think he's gonna push through it. And for FPO, I mean, I feel like I feel like Own could do it. I think she could take it. I think, but
because
No,
we
but-
disagreed earlier. It's like I got
No,
a
no.
copy page, so he doesn't argue. Come at me so hard.
Whoa! Did I say that was my answer, bro? No. I said I think Own could take it, but I feel like Missy can fight back. She's at +3 right now. I think she can fight back. She didn't have a horrible round. She just couldn't execute birdies, which we all know she's capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
So she's got 3 rounds to make it up. And I think Missy can take this one.
Yeah, and I guess the new thing too. Do you have like a score, maybe plus minus 2 or 3 strokes of what's going to win it? What it's going to take to win it for MPO and FPO?
37 under par in MPO, and I'll take 26 under par in FPO.
Okay, see, I was
38
thinking
and 26.
I was thinking MPO, the first one to 40 is going to get it. I think that's kind of where
I
it's
think
going
if
to
you
be
get
at.
to 40, you win for sure.
Yeah, and so that's kind of my race. But I think that 35 to 40 range is going to be MPO. And I think FPO, I think it's going to be a little bit slower and maybe be that like 22, 23 kind of mark. Because I just feel like going like, Tatar going 9 down, 9 down, 9 down, 9 down. This doesn't happen as much. It's going to be like 9 down, 4 down, 6 and kind of battle. So mine's at 22 down for FPO.
Okay. I'm going to say, I think 37 is what's going to take MPO. And 24 for FPO.
All right. Well, I like that. So with that, guys, we're kind of moving to the top of the hour. Do we want to kind of move to closing thoughts? We'll start with Josh.
Yeah, there's a lot of changes in what you would expect to happen on both FPO and MPO side. I'm really enjoying being able to watch live disc golf and see every angle as it's happening and not just one card. Super excited for what this weekend's going to hold for the Champions Cup, and Missy Gann's going to take it.
That would
All right,
be
I like
an
that.
insane comeback.
That would be
really
amazing.
I know. It'll be so good though.
Colin, do you want to move down to your closing thoughts?
Sure. I think one thing that I'm going to use my closing thought to get to something that I forgot to get to. I think the amount of young guys that are on the leaderboard this weekend is something that needs to be talked about more. Isaac Robinson is 21 years old. Silas Schultz is 20 years old. Cole Redolin is 18 years old. Aiden Scott is 19 years old, and all those guys are in the top 10. Micah Groth is also 19, I believe. He might even be younger than that. Ezra Robinson is in the mix, and he's also super young. So the sport is in really, really good hands, and I say find a pro and just enjoy watching them grow.
Very well
Yeah,
said.
no, I think that's a
It's a really
great
good point.
Yeah, it's one I haven't even thought about, to be honest. I feel like Silas Schultz to be 20. I feel like I've known that, but it seems like he's been around for so long that I always associate him with like that Eagles age of like 24, 25. I don't realize he's that young.
He won NADGT at like 15.
Yeah, that's probably why it's been so just kind of always there. It's a name I always just think about. But also, we did have one comment about the quality of the live feed was terrible today, so I do want to take that time to apologize. 100% Colin's fault. And well, I'm sorry. It's 50% Colin and it's 50% Cody for not being here. It's it's a double C conundrum. So no, we do apologize, and that is our goal, is to maybe try to clean this up best we can for our live recording or pre-recorded.
I believe they're talking about the live feed.
I would think so too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I was
we
figured
love
like
our
with Colin
shotgun.
and our technical difficulties, I was just like, we had robot voice there, no Colin. He popped in. I can just see watching us live being very difficult.
No,
So
it's
Once
like
we
there
got
was
in, we
times-
were locked in and ready.
Yeah, right. There was times though during the live feed of the Champions Cup where it just stopped.
It was so
And for a
bad.
while, and
So
it was
bad.
for a while. It was really bad. They're
They
running
had
off
like
cell
3 straight
reception.
commercial breaks. It was so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm tired of the commercial breaks too. Oh, the same 3 commercials on repeat. We get it, Lone Star. You want people to think you make quality plastic.
Yeah. But it does dock points from the live feed on some of these courses like this one that don't have great cell reception, and that's what they're running off of. And unfortunately, until disc golf blows up just a little bit more and they have a lot more money to invest in their own towers to bring out there, those, what do they call them, like they have cows in the name, the little like mobile towers that you can bring places.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a cow tower, or oh man, chat, if you know what it is, let me know.
No
But yeah,
idea.
the feed was decent. There's a lot of bad parts though.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, with that, I can transition to my closing thoughts. With it being a championship weekend with a major, this is my go-to, that championship courses are designed for championship level players. It doesn't matter the age. They're out there proving exactly, how challenging these courses really are. For them to shoot -11 on these courses is awesome. And watching how quick they learned the course is ridiculous, because -8 last year was lead card, and now it's like, 11 down, 10 down, 9 down, 9 down. So like -8's chase card, it's still good, but people are starting to figure out the course. And they just, like, I think about the hole in Nashville you're talking about, that final day, a lot of the pros are figuring out how not to take bogeys, how to get some birdies. They figure these courses out so quickly, it's ridiculous. But championship level courses are designed for championship level players. So I do want to reinforce that this weekend. With that, we give Josh a hard time because a lot of times he's in the wrong. So with that, I wanted to say, Josh, is nothing but love. Your opinions are definitely warranted, and Facebook user agrees with you. So I can't be too far off owning up some of it. So I try to not be the worst a little bit. But Cody, take some penicillin, fix your leaky faucet. We wanted to shout out one of our sponsors, and nope, he's below us. I fooled you, Josh.
Why would you tell me that earlier?
CH Sports, because he popped on. And I was like, what better
Good
way
point.
to highlight Colin Hayden, CH Sports. He just partnered with or worked with Chris Nelson, got an in the bag video. So Chris Nelson's actually at the Champions Cup right now. I didn't see how he was doing, so let's give Chris
4
Nelson.
over par, don't look.
Okay, 4 over par, don't look. He's a 1030 rated local pro who shreds, and I know he had a big breakthrough at Jonesboro last year, so they did it in the bag. He's sponsored by Innova. So seeing CH Sports videos coming back out always puts a smile on my face. Looking forward to more content. But with you being here, did you want to talk about anything upcoming for CH Sports, Patreon, whatever you want?
Yeah, real quick. There's another piece of content coming out from that Chris Nelson stuff. So I'm just going to say, keep an eye out for that. And then, do all the YouTube stuff, the like, the subscribe, and the follow and share and all that stuff.
And we can't miss this logo. It's there. It's right there. So beautiful.
Shout out to Tanner LaBelle. Shout out to Tanner LaBelle.
Tanner LaBelle
designed that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I love the simplicity of it, but it's a solid one. It's one of my favorite ones in the disc golf industry.
So before we sign off completely, did somebody take a 19 on a par 4?
Last week.
Oh, last week.
Hole 18.
Yeah.
That hole 18 looked brutal. That's all I can
Mhm.
say is that hole 18 with any wind, like weatherization.
James Conrad took a 12 on it.
That's crazy. So look,
Well, it
pros,
looked really hard. It looked really
pros just showing you that like 12 on a hole and a 19 hole is possible. So when you're out there taking a 9, don't feel so bad, because you know what? It can always be worse, and it can always get away from you all the quicker. So with that, guys, thank you, Colin, for hopping in, shooting us a message. Thanks, chat, for the interaction. We thrive off you all. We'll do better at engaging you all, but really, Cody, take some penicillin, guys. With that, we'll see you next week. Keep jamming it in the rough.